Hey guys, so today I want to talk about being mixed and being gay. And I've wanted to do this video for a while, but I wasn't really sure how to go about the subject. But I am mixed. I'm half French and half Turkish. Growing up mixed is very much its own experience, and growing up gay is very much its own experience as well. But I feel like there are these clear parallels between both identities. And I kind of, as I get older, I wonder what has had more of an impact on me and how has it impacted me. And I feel like both things have totally shaped who I am today. Growing up mixed, I felt like an outsider because there was nobody quite like me and quite like us, our family. And always kind of felt like an outsider observing people and observing people who were very different from me. Anybody who's mixed, anybody who's biracial, or multiracial will tell you that when you are a blend of things, you hear it from all sides. You're going to hear both sides tell you that you are, on one hand, what they are, and therefore you need to act more like they act. But then you'll hear people also tell you that because you're mixed with the other thing, you're not quite what they are. And it's not always overt, right? It's not like people are like, you're not white, or you're not Middle Eastern, or you're not whatever. But people say things that seep through and you know what they're trying to say, right? So that's a very unique experience, I think, growing up. And obviously on the gay side, I experienced very similar things where I always felt like the weird kid who was very different from other boys. And again, there was always this reminder that I was different. Even if I knew it, and I always knew that I was gay, even beyond that, no matter what I did to try to fit in, try to act like other boys, people would say things. And kids can be cruel, but I think parents can also be cruel. And I grew up with, sometimes teachers saying things, or specifically parents of friends I remember would look a certain way, have a judgmental gaze, or I can't tell you how many friends I had growing up who would say, we would hang out at their house or whatever. This is like 10 years old or 12 years old. And then saying the next day, my dad said that you act kind of feminine, or that he was wondering if you're gay. And I was like, he's not gay. And obviously now that's kind of funny or just silly and irrelevant. But I just remember being a kid and feeling so paranoid that I had to act a certain way or my secrets would come out. And it made for such an unpleasant childhood. And I think the mixed component made it worse. It compounded that impact of feeling like I always had to watch how I acted, and I had to act a certain way to please the people around me, which now seems ridiculous, but as a kid it made total sense that I needed to fit in and I needed to abide by societal codes and mores of how to act. So I'm grateful for the way that I grew up because it gave me a unique experience, and I think anybody who grows up in any minority group, whether you're Black, Asian, gay, poor, whatever it is, I think you grow up seeing the world differently with more self-awareness and more of like an observer's mentality. And I think that that's a really helpful skill in life to have. And I think also just the ability to adapt to different situations and different types of people, I think, is an important asset to have once you do become an adult and you enter the workforce and you move to another country or another state or whatever. I think it's helpful to have that. But I think it also makes for a childhood where you grow up kind of quickly because you end up feeling like you're there to please other people and that you kind of have to adjust who you are to make other people feel comfortable. Whether it is being the gay kid or being the ethnic kid, the mixed kid, the kid who's in a minority, whatever the case is. The funny thing is, growing up, I didn't know anybody like my brothers and I, and obviously I didn't know anybody quite like me who was on top of it also gay. So it's funny how then you grow up and you're like, wow, there's actually so many people out there just like me, right? There's so many people nowadays in my generation who are mixed, who talk about it all the time. They say that being mixed, being biracial, being all those things is the future, that there's going to be only more and more mixing as people, are more open-minded about it, less judgmental about it. And also I think it's human nature to be attracted to what's different from you and what's exotic to you. One of the coolest things I've learned now as an adult too is just how many gay people there are, and I never knew as a kid that there would be such a big ocean of gay men, and of all shapes, all sizes, all appearances, all personalities, all different levels of masculinity and femininity. And there's a beauty to that, and I'm glad that the world was actually much bigger than I ever thought it was, figuratively, right? Like in terms of just the type of people you meet. But it's bittersweet thinking about me as a kid and just feeling so different, even with the awareness that there's a ton of mixed people out there and there's a ton of gay people out there. As an adult, I still have this feeling of being an outsider, because I think that stays with you when you grow up that way. And I don't want to make it like a victim thing, like, oh, life is so hard, but it is still something that I think about frequently. Having this background, having this identity, growing up this way, and now tackling those things as an adult. I'm not sure that there's a point to this video, but it was just something that I wanted to start a discourse about, I guess, and something that's often still on my mind. And I've encountered very few people who come from a mixed background and also happen to be gay, so I kind of just feel like we have to stick together.